Hello and welcome to the Album Man, and today I'm doing a review of Weather Systems by Anathema. So, 2012 really was a fantastic year for music, but there was one album that really stood head and shoulders above the West. For the entire time I've been heavily into music, there's always been something I've been looking for, a certain sound I could never put my finger on, a certain feeling that I just couldn't find, and I've gotten pretty close before to find this holy grail of sounds, the one that my ears seem to crave without ever having experienced it. Though, in December, when I was compiling my top albums of 2012 video, I was looking upon lists of release and see what people think were good, to see what I'd missed, listen to it, so I'd have a fairly accurate list. And I came across Weather Systems by the Liverpudlian band Anathema. Now, I knew Anathema's last album, We're Here Because We're Here, which featured a fantastic song, Thin Ice, which is a wonderful song. So I looked this album up. It seemed to get pretty positive reception. And if you don't know, Anathema are an atmospheric prog band. They've got a very ethereal sound to them. So I looked it up, and this, thought that it might be able to break my top 20 of the year. But instead, it got to my number 1 of 2012, and also my 8th favourite album of all time. It broke my top 10, which is a feat that doesn't often get done. The last time something entered my top 10 was Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars by David Bowie, and that was a good year and a half ago now, I think. So this is the newest band to have entered my top 10, and it really deserves to. In my opinion, it ranks alongside albums like Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, and deserves to be in their company. So after saying such a bold statement as this, I'm really going to need to back it up. But the one thing I will say is that what this album really does is it achieves the one thing I could never find, the one thing I can now only fully describe, and that is it achieved true beauty. This album is the most beautiful album I have ever listened to. It's also the most moving piece of music I've ever heard, and it seems as what the band intended. This album is a masterpiece and one of the greatest progressive albums to have ever been released, in my opinion. So, without further ado, I will back up this claim. So, I'll just quickly tell you the track listing. We have Untouchable Part 1 and Untouchable Part 2, Gathering of Clouds, Lightning Song, Sunlight, The Storm Before the Calm, The Beginning and the End, The Lost Child, and Internal Landscapes. So just 9 tracks. So we will start with Untouchable Part 1. And this opens the album with its fast, plucked acoustic guitar from Daniel Cavagnier, I think that's how you say his name, who is the main songwriter of the band and the guitarist. And then Vincent Cavagnier, his brother and the lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist of the band, his voice comes over the top. And this song, it just builds so perfectly, adding piano, bass, before the drums come in. But still, it stays restrained as they continue to build tension. And then we start to hear the enchanting siren-like voice of Lee Douglas as she takes the song to a new level without singing a single word, allowing the song to really just explode and the passion and emotion to stream like a river out of the song. And how this song climaxes is really like none I've ever heard before, though it also has an exceptionally catchy chorus, and it just makes it a juggernaut of an opening track. But then, Untouchable Part 2 somehow manages to exceed it. I mean, it's a mystery how, but it manages to. And it opens with just some simple piano with Vincent's voice over the top, and he can sing. He seriously hits every note just perfectly, absolutely perfectly, and contributes heavily to the beauty that this album delivers and the impact that it has. Though I feel he is overshadowed by the sublime voice of Lee Douglas, who is the band's female vocalist, and and also the sister of the drummer John Douglas. And this combination just works so well. It helps to build the song, these male and female voices clashing, especially as the guitarist and pianist Daniel Cavanier creates such a stunningly beautiful, powerful, yet atmospheric and delicate sound. It's like nothing I've ever quite heard before. And he just makes the instrument sing with such emotion and passion as he ramps up the intensity. Really sends shivers down your spine, though it keeps that ethereal vibe to it. It's just wonderful. Next we come to The Gathering of Clouds. And this starts with the sounds of thunder and, focusing on the theme of weather clearly. Before we get a bit more, sort of this quickly picked acoustic guitar as the vocal harmonies begin to kick in, and the dynamic between Lee and Vincent vocally is shown as the song gently builds. It's like a good scary film as it builds the tension, but unlike many bands that build tension, they actually deliver the punch, and when they let the tension go, they unleash just floods of emotionally powerful music. Though on this song they definitely show some restraint, and just as it's about to become an urgent frenzy, Daniel brings everything down again geniusly and just makes you want more. But the thing is, this could be seen as maybe a bit anticlimactic, like, oh, I was expecting this to go somewhere. But the payoff is worth it, and the payoff comes in the track that this seamlessly slides into, which is the Lightning Song. This song seriously highlights the beautifully stunning voice of Lee Douglas, who is currently one of my favourite female vocalists, to be honest. I mean, she never over-sings. I find that, you do get, female vocalists who, they definitely try and sort of over-sing. It's a hard sort of thing to describe, but it's like they're trying to, when they start wobbling notes, for example, things like that, I just find it unnecessary. They're trying to put forced emotion. Instead, she just has a very pure way of singing that really, really suits the style, and it is so highlighted on here. And, I mean, she just doesn't seem to appear too restrained, but yet doesn't, let loose too much. She just finds this perfect equilibrium between them, and especially with this song. And then as the big electric guitars pop out towards the end at you, from both sides closing in on you, sending shivers across your entire body, it's one of the most satisfyingly grand climaxes I've ever had, as really you start to feel a bit claustrophobic as the sound really closes in on you. It's quite amazing, to be honest. It's an unbelievable song. And I'll let the song's lyrics describe the rest, that really, as the song says, a beauty that is here. And it's so true. Sunlight. And this starts slowly and builds, and though this sort of is a general repeat in structure, it doesn't feel tired, as the instrumentation and way of building is different in each song. And this song, it's really the drum beat that is one of the key things in this, as this really helps to take the song to next levels, as it just gets louder and louder and louder behind the dual tones of Lee and Daniel as, they sing the song. And I love particularly the contrast of the instrumentation and the vocals as it progresses, as the vocals have this air of calmness to them, while the guitars especially seem to get angrier and more intense, and there's a frustration emanating from them. And I think that contrast, it just works perfectly to create a really intense, interesting, dynamic song. The Storm Before the Calm. Now, this is written by the drummer, John Douglas, and damn should he write more songs. Seriously, this is another superb song. I'm running out of positive adjectives to describe this album, to be honest. And this starts out with some electric drums. Yes, something I usually heavily criticise bands for, but there's a few examples where it works. One of them is on Marilyn Manson's album Hollywood, and quite a lot of Marilyn Manson stuff. I find he manages to incorporate them quite well. Or very well, in fact. And here, they actually work. I'd usually take marks off for this type of stuff, but it just works with the slightly jagged, sort of monotone vocals that Lee and Vincent go for on this song towards the beginning. Though this bit doesn't last long, and neither does the electric drums. If it lasted the whole song, it'd probably get bloody annoying, to be honest. And then the tempo of the song really starts to go up. And yeah, it still keeps this very deliberate restraint to it, but really as the song gets on, this changes, and it makes the emotionally intense conclusion all the more impactful and powerful. The combination of variously electronic sort of sounds just swirling around this song create a really big, wide sound to it, which is really nice. It's like a big soundscape, and yeah, really, really good. And in the instrumental especially. Yeah, and also the sound effects go over this sort of quiet piano, and it seems like they get closer as they build. Really, really nice effect. Really nice mixing and engineering. Have to give props to the department who did that then, the people, whoever. Anyway, the song it then comes to a halt, which is quite interesting. I find this can either go two ways. I find that sometimes it can just work. A song can then just have a whole new breath of life. Or sometimes then you can just carry on and be a bit dull and stale, and it's like, why, you may as well just stop there. Here, they definitely are not dull and stale. When they stop, you're just left with Daniel, when it comes back, playing a clean electric guitar as the song starts to rebuild the wall of sound that it once had. And in this half of the song really lets its hair down just big time, with the most powerful, impactful, intense finale I've probably ever heard in a song. And it's so satisfying, as well as the lyrics, which just flow so well as it ends with Vincent wailing, "This is fucking insane, this is fucking insane," and it just leaves you breathless, like the Camel album, but even though that album doesn't leave particularly breathless, it's not one of their best. I'm off topic, by the end of this spectacle. And then, let's see, towards the end, how far are we? The beginning and the end, yes. The beginning and the end has really the catchiest piano melodies as an intro to, before the drums come pounding in along with the acoustic guitar. And it's probably my favourite vocal performance by Vincent, and in terms of my favourite lyrics on the album. We also get a fantastically fitting solo from Daniel that really just spreads its wings and soars above the sky. As it screeches and squawks to the end of the song, it's genius. The penultimate song, I think penultimate, is Lost Child. And Anathema certainly doesn't let you down. I mean, they just don't in this album. With the gentle humming by Daniel as an intro before the strings come in. And the artistry displayed by this song is immense. It's such a delicate, nimble song. Every single note has been planned and executed so carefully and perfectly. This song, if you could truly describe it, I suppose it's the ballad of the album, as it has more strings and piano, though it's Anathema, so it does subtly build to a powerful, mainly vocal-driven conclusion. Yeah, I mean, it's just stunning, and it ends like the intro with just some piano and gentle strings. Amazing. Eternal Landscape is the last song on the album. It's very different as it starts differently, as over the top. Of some fairly quiet sort of atmospheric sounds is the voice of Joe Garassi in 1981, talking about his near-death experience and what it feels like to die. Very heavy topic to end an album with, definitely. And I mean, this is clearly, intended to end the album with the most emotionally impactful song. It's meant to make you think. And that's, part of this album is designed, it's meant to make you think, and it really does succeed in doing that. And it has Lee and Vincent sort of doing alternate verses. Yeah, an epic song that soars as both vocalists are railing for "I was always there and I always will be," before gently ending with Joe Garassi again. Perfect way to end the album. And in conclusion, this album is a masterpiece. I'm running out of time, I can, so I'll try and get through this quickly. It's a true work of art, and it's the most emotional, impactful, deep album I've ever heard. I'm going to give this album a 10 out of 10. I can't flaw it. It's one of my favourite albums of all time. I have the deluxe version here with the 5.1 surround mix, which isn't that good. Anyway, this has been the Album Man. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to subscribe, as usual. Long live rock and roll.